Javelin has devastated me. It's broken me. It's like cracked me wide open, and at the same time, with every listen, it like rebuilds me again. Like, I feel so vulnerable when I listen to it, but then I feel hopeful and just like the release and the starting over that can happen after that release, if that makes sense. That's like what I'm feeling, if I could summarize it from this album. Hey everyone, this is Jade from Polymath Library, giving you my first reactions to Javelin, my working analysis theories, and talking about the album. Glad you're here. He also, I don't know if you're into astrology, but he also I think it released on like a Cancer full moon, and Cancer is very like, it's like the moon, basically. It's emotion, it's watery, and it's also eclipse season, and eclipse seasons are about this release. And even when he released the first single, Venus was in retrograde, which was like, you know, relationships, like reassessing them, everything. I don't know, it just is funny how it like perfectly lined up with the astrology. Okay, so today we are talking about Javelin. And yes, I have made a PowerPoint. I know it's like, yeah, I've had a week to let this album simmer in my heart, in my brain, in my subconsciousness. And I had a lot of thoughts, so I had to make a PowerPoint. I don't know if you've seen the whole artwork that goes with the whole album, but this is my favorite piece of art from it, my favorite collage. First, it just looks really cool. The cars just, it's a mess, but it's somehow cohesive. I just remember the clip from him in like, I don't know what year, before 2010, of him talking about how he wrote a whole album about cars. Okay, so I think there is like an obvious elephant in the room of this album, if I can say that. So it's been like, it went, I mean, I'm smiling, but I'm not, it's not like, yeah, it's really heavy. Like, it went from bad to worse. Just bad to worse. Like, I think I was like ignoring the signs of the first song of how devastating, first of all, besides the real life things that happened after this album, I was ignoring the signs of how devastating an album this would be. I had my little like blinders. I was like, oh, this is a nice song. I didn't really stop to think about the lyrics on any kind of deeper level. As someone said in the live stream, this doesn't sound like breakup music, it sounds like divorce music. And I agree. There's so much to talk about. Okay, so just a recap. You must know if you're watching this video, but just to recap, set the tone, acknowledge everything. We got the single, then Sufjan opened up about something like from his private life, that he had an autoimmune disease. Sounds like barely survived, and now he has to learn how to walk again. And that was enough. Like, that was tragic enough. And then when the album released, he shared a tribute post to his late partner, and he dedicated the album to him. And this was the first time people speculated, of course, but he's so private that I never wanted to think too much about that. I just always wanted to like respect his privacy. But yeah, people, I think they knew there were signs of the relationship, so it wasn't like hidden, but it wasn't like something I felt comfortable talking about. But yeah, so he dedicated to his partner who passed in April, and the post was so just obviously beautifully written and just tragic, and talking about how even though relationships are hard, you have to make them work. And I think I think we all want to like help Sufjan in some way. We're all sending like our love and well wishes and gratitude for the art he's made. I think if we want to honor him in some way, I think we can do as he said in this post and work on the relationships that mean something to us. Obviously it's not like if they're unhealthy relationships that aren't going to change, not like that, but to put our egos aside. I remember when I saw him, it was either Portland or Seattle for the Carrie and Lil tour. I have the clips.
I'd like to thank Roberto Lang and Lado Negro for opening the show tonight. And I'd like to thank you for being here with me and encouraging me through this process. And it's been really a great privilege, an honor, and a struggle, but a really necessary struggle. So there's no such thing as meaningless sorrow or meaningless misery. It all has incredible significance and substance. In the thick of it, we enter what's called despair. And despair is a very, very dark and a very difficult thing and a very unnecessary thing. I believe it's self-perpetuating. And I know that in my darkest hour, a lot of times I am chewing the cud of my own sorrow. And that's dangerous because there's light all around you if you just lift up your head and look in the periphery. We put blankets over our heads and blinders, close all the windows, pull all the blinds. It's very dangerous to do that. Open your windows. And just remember what my assistant JV basketball coach used to say, hustle, 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 look alive.
No, obviously that was a very, very dark time for him. And I think he talked about how that tour was like cathartic for him. You know, I'm wondering if we might have gotten some additional context for this album during a tour through his stories. You're hiding in dark rooms of like depression and you just need to open the curtains. He said it way more eloquently. I think that's also the tour where he said that it was laundry day, so he was a haphazard fashion disaster. Okay, this is also why this is not an album review. This is not an album review. I am not unbiased enough to ever review his music because I think he is beyond album reviews. That's why I don't watch them. I don't talk about, oh, this song is better than this song. I listen to The Devil's Saxophone unironically. That's how damn bad I am for his music. So I just wanted to address that, how we can honor Sufjan in this way. You know, we can't really do anything for him, even as much as we want to, we can't. So I just thought of that way that we could just kind of, if we had felt a need to do something, this is what we could do. Romantic relationships, friendships, family relationships, just putting our ego aside. Which I think it's like the hardest part, but the most vital part. Anyway, I took notes. With that out of the way, let's dive into the album and my PowerPoint. I'm so excited to share my PowerPoint. I had so much fun making this. It was like doing a collage from a collage. Goodbye, Evergreen. I love, 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 love his opening tracks, like Michigan. When he would play that piano intro live, the inhale that starts the record. And at the end, the chaos and the noise that it descends into. It's like, I even had to turn down the quality of the music from my laptop when I was listening to my Bluetooth headphones because it was like, I think in my bigger headphones it's better, but you just can feel it. You can also hear the strings move on the guitar. And there's this bass line towards the beginning that is just you hear it and it's, oh my God. Everyone on Reddit is loving to talk about all the songs that this album sounds like. That's another thing I want to talk about, is that this man has created his own, not even world, let's go further. He's created his own universe of sounds. It's like a painter having motifs. You don't see the motif and be like, oh, it's a copy of his other painting. He sampled this song. It's a motif in his music. This album feels so fresh, so new, but it uses so many of his elements that it's like, it still blows my mind every time I listen to it. And honestly, emotionally, I'm really glad that's like the route he took. I could not handle an album so devastating with completely new sounds either. I think that might break me even more, because that's why it feels so familiar, but it's so fresh and so new. You know I love you. And this line, something just isn't right. Like, oh, how you can like be in a relationship and not unhappy, but something just isn't right. And this feeling grows and grows and grows, because you can't talk about it without the risk of like destroying the relationship, you know. I listened to Dan Savage's podcast. He always says like, just because a relationship ended doesn't mean it was a failure. And I was thinking about that quote with this album, because the song kind of ends positively with this, you know I love you, which also could be sad. We go into A Running Start, which is the cutest little love song. I will be thinking about this line. If I align myself with Pisces in a funny way, I will be thinking about that for a very long time. John from Asthmatic Kitty said it's like supposed to be based on like winter. It's giving like very first loves, feeling shy. When are they gonna kiss me? It's so cute. The first song, it's like something isn't right. Like, do I want to be in this relationship still? And someone going back and reevaluating all the things about it. Kind of like the essays start from birth to death and this like reincarnation cycle. You know, I keep trying to think like, how do the essays tie into this album? I also love this collage, how the paint is just like so falling in love for the first time. Yeah. And this reminds me of like being guarded in a relationship and slowly succumbing to that feeling of like, you like this person and you're going to become vulnerable with them. It's like this childhood innocence of starting a relationship. This is Sufjan, right? It absolutely has to be. If it's, is he wearing the Alyssa Edwards palette also? Okay, and so I was like, maybe there's some like obscure online little blurb from some New York magazine that was posted online that I'll find. He like did a drag show or something, to find out that I have been sleeping on Reflections, because one of the song titles is "And I Shall Come to You Like a Stormtrooper in Drag Serving Imperial Realness." Do you need any more evidence? It's a pretty strong theme of the Pledge of Allegiance here. A song called Burning Heart in the Rocky film, Rocky IV. Also, there's a film called Golden Blade. Let's see. That feeling when you link something that's... Okay, hold on. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna read. Oh, where is it still recording as I switch tabs? That's amazing. Okay, Burning Heart lyrics. Two worlds collide, rival nations, it's a primitive clash, venting years of frustrations. Bravely we hope, against all hope, there is so much at stake. Seems our freedom's up against the ropes. Does the crowd understand? Is it east versus west or man against man? Can any nation stand alone? It's the burning heart just about to burst. There's a quest for answers and unquenchable thirst. In the darkest night, rising like a spire. In the burning heart, the unmistakable fire. In the burning heart. Now, I think this will tie in more with other songs, but this is a theme that I've been seeing about two worlds colliding. I do not doubt that Sufjan would use a Rocky reference. Everything that rises. So when I was watching the live stream of the album, John said, this is probably another Flannery O'Connor reference. I was like, another? Oh yeah, the dress looks nice on you. A good dress is hard to find. A good man is hard to find. Flannery O'Connor. Everything that rises must converge was a short story written by Flannery O'Connor, which then later turned into a book of short stories. So I didn't read the story. I read the synopsis, but basically it takes place right after segregation ended in the South. Already like, whew. Okay, so there's this son, and he has like a well-to-do mother, and she is afraid that basically she's going to be like harassed by black people on the bus to go to her little YMCA class. This is like, yeah, the 50s. I think she wrote it in 55 or something, I don't know. And she asked her son to accompany her. And he is like, Mom, come on. This is absurd, but I'll go with you anyway. So they get on the bus. There's a black man on the bus who's really well dressed. See, I think I need to read the story, okay, but I think from what the synopsis, the son is almost just as flawed as his mother, because he's like, okay, I'll sit next to this black man and, try to show my mother that he's cool. His mother is like rude, it's a disaster. Woman and her son get on the bus, and the mom loves kids despite their, race or whatever. And she is like nice to this kid. The narrator, I think, is the son, and he's thinking like, oh no, my mother likes to give coins to children. This isn't going to go well. It's probably going to be taken really bad. So the mother she didn't have any bigger coins, so she gives like a penny to the little boy. And his mom gets so mad. The older mother of the narrator is like shocked, and the son feels bad. I don't know. I'm going to have to read the story to get like a better analysis. But this is the story. Everything that rises must converge. And it comes from a quote from French philosopher Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, I don't know how to read French, titled A Mega Point. Be true to yourself, but move ever upward toward a greater consciousness and a greater love. At the summit, you will find yourself united with all those from every direction who have made the same ascent, for everything that rises must converge. This is what I was talking about in the last song, this Rocky song. See, it connects. Two worlds coming together as one. Also, the music video, the artist from that said his inspiration for the video was imagining that you wake up in someone else's consciousness and you learn all like the deep things about someone. The good, the bad, the horrifying, and you converge with their consciousness. I don't know, this is a working theory. Okay, this is not a full-blown analysis. And it's said Salvador Dali, this painting, which I covered with another screenshot, was inspired by this quote and this like philosophy. And there's also the sphere of salt. It has to be about the Bible story of Lot's wife, who doesn't have a name. Basically, it was like Sodom and Gomorrah. There was, bad shit going down in those cities. God told all the holy people to run away, but don't turn back or you will turn into salt. And Lot's wife is so curious about what is happening behind her. She's running up that hill, but she looks back and she gets turned into a pillar of salt. This is like supposedly her pillar of salt. I'm going to take a guess and say this is someone in drag. Maybe it's Sufjan's partner. I'm not sure because the picture is also later. This boy, he's tired of being on this hike. He has his lollipop. He's done. Genuflecting Ghost. And I'm going to be quite honest, I did not know what genuflecting meant. I had to Google that. And then I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I never was Catholic, but it's when you go into the church, you kneel down, and yeah, genuflecting. This is why I think this album, it's about relationships, and the lyrics, they're not so complex as in maybe an Illinois song, but they have so many layers, and I think it's impossible to unpack it all in a week's time, but these are my working theories now. I'm sure they'll change. If you don't know, Sufjan, there's a video. I don't think we have video. I think we just have an audio recording in Canada in 2004 of Sufjan singing the Star Spangled Banner. I bring this up because he kept talking about ramparts. And I was like, ramparts mentioned in the Bible, there wasn't really anything conclusive there. However, ramparts is mentioned quite a lot in the Bible. So in this recording, Sufjan sings the Star Spangled Banner in his style, but the same lyrics. And then, towards the end, it crescendos. And he's so passionately singing. Oh, that's why Rest Assured Empires Will Fall. Because so he made his own verse at the end of the Star Spangled Banner. Go listen to it if you haven't. There are so many of these live songs. I used to have them on my iPod, all of them. The Full Moon, da na na na, full moon, I na 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 na. First Full Moon, this one, Majesty Snowbird. All of them were on my iPod, and I just walked to school listening to this. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to read his lyrics, what he added. It's the last verse. Okay, so on the rocket's red glare, bombs bursting in air, give us proof through the night that our flag was still there. This also reminds me of, from Michigan, political commentary. Okay, and our flag marked with blood. Right, this is about the independence of America. You know, the war, the battle ends, but the flag is still there standing up. Woohoo. And our flag marked with the blood of our hands, and our hands marked with death, with the blood of the man, and the man on the cross, Jesus, and the cross on our hearts. Has it done nothing more than drive us apart? Listen to that song right now. I don't care. Stop this video. Listen to that song. Because, oh my God. Yeah, the history of America, it's not like, we found this empty land and we had to fight for it. Yeah, anyway, I'm not going to get it. But, so rest assured, empires will fall. If you catch the drift of what I'm saying. And before I knew what genuflecting meant, I was like, this song is so liturgical. So my grandmother went to a Church of Christ. You are not allowed to have instruments there when you sing the songs. So everyone has a little hymnal. And honestly, they are so good at harmonizing. And they get the man and the woman. And it's actually quite beautiful. They sing way too many choruses and verses, and you're just like, oh my God. But it's beautiful in its own way. So yeah, this sounds very liturgical. I think that's the right word. And actually, funny story. So I talked about my Tumblr era. There was this person I met on Tumblr. We never met in real life, but we met through Sufjan, the Sufjan side of Tumblr. It turns out he was a member of my grandmother's church. Now, my grandmother was like a legend of this church. And he knew her. And we were so weirded out by this fact. Crazy, crazy, crazy. The church was in Texas, by the way, in Austin. I may be reaching. I have on my wall, the pictures and the string attached, okay? But listen, working theories. My little red fox. This has to be a reference to Sufjan's dogs. These are pictures he's posted on his Tumblr of his dog. I don't know his dog's name. Would be funny if his dog's name was Jar Jar Binks, and that's why it was Jar Jar Binks fan club. This might be one of the most beautiful songs I have ever heard in my life. And this happens to me with new albums, that one song, I'll listen to it all the way through. Of course, I'm I listen to albums start to finish. But sometimes I start the album from the middle, because a certain song is just stuck in my brain. This is one of them. Kiss Me with the Fire of Gods. It can also be a coincidence that he says, my queen. Okay, drag queen. Drag queen, anyone? And the way he says my bro. The first time I heard it, I was like, bro? It's Broken Dreams. It's Spoken Dreams. This is also the page where it's just men without their shirts on. And a drag queen in the middle. I'm telling you guys, there is a deeper story here we would have gotten with the tour. And I stick to what I said before. I don't give a fuck about the tour. I just want him to be okay. But there's just this little mustard seed of hope in my heart that, he might not even want to sing these songs anymore. And yeah. However, I can dream. Kiss me like the wind. Kiss me from within. What does it say? X marks the fox. So you are tired. When albums are releasing single by single, I don't like to listen to the single that much, because I don't want to have it have its own structure, memory, place in my psyche so that it doesn't fit with the rest of the album later. I don't want to risk that. So I like to just listen once. And I wasn't listening well enough the first couple times. I maybe listened to it. Why do I keep doing this? You know why? It's because I was watching the Broski Report, and she was doing an impersonation. It got stuck in my head. But I wasn't listening close enough to get the signs, as I said earlier, of how much this album, the only word I keep coming back to is devastate me. I wasn't paying attention. The signs were all there. I was like, this is a nice song. Oh, it's beautiful. What a lovely field of grass. Yeah, what I mentioned before is someone on the live stream said, I will say this again because it made me laugh. Doesn't sound like breakup music. It sounds like divorce music. Okay, it's giving Elio sitting in front of the fire at the end of Call Me By Your Name, listening to Sufjan, as we know he was doing, crying. Yeah, so you're tired. We know it. We love her. So you were tired of us. And so you are tired of me. I was the man still in love with you when I already knew it was done. How did I hear that the first time and be like, wow, what a nice song. Hindsight. Javelin, To Have and To Hold. The shortest song on the album. The namesake, but the shortest song. Honestly, might be the most confusing song we have on this album. I mean, it's clear, but it's like the part that's confusing to me is that he's like, well, and this is what I kind of worked out. So, he says like, looking in the snow for the javelin, like I threw at you. I didn't mean to throw it at you. But if it had hit its mark, there would be blood in the snow. So, did he mean to throw it at him? And what I've eventually come to the conclusion of, again, working theories, is that it's like when you are in a fight with someone, as I said earlier, to honor Sufjan, we can put our egos down in the fight, but when your ego is like there and you're clouded by your anger and your feelings, you don't really deep down, this is why we, apologize for hurtful things we've said. You don't want to hurt your partner. People have been known to say hurtful things during fights that they don't mean. In this context, it makes sense to me that he didn't want to hit his partner with the javelin. Glad, thankfully it missed, but the javelin, I think it's, that's it. My love is a weapon thrown at the something, right? That was so my love is a javelin. And I guess it goes back maybe to the music video, the more you know about somebody, the easier it is to I'm saying these are not healthy things to do in a relationship, maybe tempting even, or easy to use the things we know about people who are closest to us to hurt them when we are hurting. Not good behavior at all, but it happens. This song is the most cryptic and chilling to me. And at the end, these chords that dun, 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 they're they're dissonant chords, so it's very unsettling. To have and to hold, it's part of Christian marriage vows, which is there are the images of the man, the wife, the child. Yeah, staying in a marriage for the sake of it, even when both sides are miserable and they are so deep down in the layers of resentment, the things said, everything, that it just seems too much to escape out of. That's this comment was so poignant. I don't know. You know what I mean? That it sounds like divorce music, because this is exactly, why divorce happens. There's no way to reconcile the relationship. Yeah, the song, it didn't hit me until I don't know how many times I've listened to this album. A lot, because I was listening to it when it released all the way through at work. So I listened to maybe 6 or 7 times that day. Then I needed to take a break. And now I can listen to it again. That's also why I waited to record this video, because I was just I couldn't make it through a listen without crying. I'm gonna read this conversation to you because I thought it was funny. I made that meme that I posted on the community tab of Squidward listening to Javelin and crying in bed. And my friend another funny story. When I moved here, I was on the Tinder. I was scrolling and there was someone whose only picture was the picture of Sufjan on the beach, I think with the cowboy hat. This was in 2015, I don't know. I was like, Sufjan is in Poland? And then I realized there's no way it was him. But we met, we were friends. He said, this guy, living my happy life in peace. And then he drops his life story from the last year and this album. And I said, right, I was 100% in my Beyonce era. Happy, dancing, feeling good. Now I'm crying every day. Yeah, but it's like, as I said, it's so cathartic. It hurts so good in my heart. It's a terrible thought to have and to hold. Shit talk. I think this is like fan favorite for sure. And I see why. I have such a hard time picking favorites, but I see why people love this song. And I think even in the listening parties, everyone was like, oh my gosh, Shit Talk is like so good. So the lyrics to me are pretty clear on the first half of this one. No more fighting, no more talking shit. I can't look at you. I can't live with you. I am done with this relationship. Something changes halfway through that it's like, after becoming a mom, this picture where the kids picture, it freaks me out. I don't like it. However, as a product of divorced parents who, you know what, this kind of accurately depicts when you are the child, and Sufjan probably knows this also, he has, you are the one who suffers from your parents, like, bullshit. So the devil's saxophone. Okay, the saxophone is really nice in this song. I just had to make a devil's saxophone reference. This is what makes this song so devastating, I believe, is that I will always love you. And people are saying like that it doesn't make sense, that it can't be a breakup song because it's saying I will always love you. But you know what my first boyfriend said to me as we broke up? As we were 19 years old, I will always love you. Absolutely someone would say this breaking up. But that's just the way the song gets so big, and I will always love you, I will always love you, I will always love you. I don't know if the perspective changes, maybe, hold me close lest I fall. I don't know what's going on here. I've thought about this as much as I can in a week. I don't know what's going on here. I mean, obviously, that's why I wrote, like, maybe we'll get a music video for this with more context or something. Is it like the parents talking to the kids, I will always love you, or finally they've come to a place where they can coexist peacefully because they have a kid together? I don't know. It's just devastating. And I think, I don't know if we'll ever know. That's fine. I think this song is like, so the words I keep coming to are cathartic, devastating. So I said at the beginning, like, this album, it breaks me open every time, and it rebuilds me at the end. And that's all I have to say about that. Just the way the first time it's like, I will always love you, but I cannot live with you. It's like, stab me in the heart. And the second time, I will always love you, but I cannot. And then the music gets louder. You can barely hear him say, but I cannot look at you. There's a world. I think it might be Sufjan's partner in drag. I don't know. What good eyebrow, though. I mean, the eyebrows on top look really good. That's a skill. The first time I listened, I didn't know this was a Neil Young song. So the first time I listened to it, I was like, interesting. It sounds like Sufjan, but the lyrics have such a different cadence to anything I've ever heard him sing. Yeah, it's because it's a cover. I did then try to listen to the Neil Young version. Maybe I need to listen to it a few times, but it is like very different sonically and musically. But this song, the lyrics are amazing. Could be good things in the air for me and you. It's so hopeful. There's a world where everything is okay. And I think I mentioned childhood innocence. Yeah, like Running Start, like the childhood innocence of falling in love for the first time. And the last page of the art book, it's all baby pictures. It's so cute. And it's like, there's a world. It's like this childhood innocence. And, like inside, that's why, like, inner child work is so important. Because inside, we are all just the kids, the children who are so open and innocent. And then, the shit happens. And parents, even just parents divorcing or this kind of stuff. There's a world where we can maybe like return to that or heal those parts of ourselves and come together and make a beautiful life together. That's my thoughts on the album. Now I have some like thoughts on a whole. I'm just gonna go through these. This album is somehow so fresh and new, despite having so many familiar elements. It's like nothing that he's ever made before. I know people are comparing it to Carrie and Lowell, as that was the last singer-songwriter album he had, but this is something totally different. Even the way it was like recorded. I mean, we had a little bit of it in Carrie and Lowell, where you can hear the fans going on in the background. This just seemed more crisp, like you're in the room with him when he was recording it. So this album is like so beautiful. The lyrics a little bit more like shorter. Maybe simple is not the right word. I think just shorter. But there is this depth, and I think there's so many like references around it that there's so much to unpack. Yeah, I think we will be listening to and unpacking this album for a really long time. I will, at least. I mean, I still listen to Illinois and Michigan, and I hear new things every time. It's like, yeah. Also wondering if we will get any more music videos. Would be nice, but it's not like I'm, you know, it'd be nice to have, it'd be cool, but I'm not like, you know, pining for music video, because I think I should just focus on self. Okay. Oh, this is also the point I wanted to make of things converging. These collages also point to that. Like, it's so many pieces that don't fit together, but the way like geometrically he's pieced it all together, they become cohesive, and they become, you know, he uses like maybe different colors from different things to make a cohesive look. So things that are different coming together, you know, glued together. The background vocals, oh, they are heavenly. They're heavenly, and they're like their own character, own instrument in the album. They add, I mean, the background, the vocalist he chooses as backgrounds always add something, like Rosie Thomas. I forget who was singing at Carrie and Lowell. Annie Clark, like they always add something, but there's something in these ones. They are like, what was it, the goddesses, or from Hercules, the three goddesses, the singing, you know what I mean? It's like that. They are there telling their own story, supporting the story, and adding so much depth to it. And the way each instrument was recorded is just chef's kiss. It's perfect. Okay. Yes, those are my thoughts about Javelin. Are you guys okay emotionally? It's a lot to process, but also I feel like albums and music, even TV shows when new seasons are released, just happened with like Frankie and Grace and Frankie. Like every time a new season released, it's like I needed it then. I feel like art has a way of coming into our lives at like the exact perfect moment. And while this stage and these topics, and this might be very uncomfortable, I think it's so important on like the journey to have times of like releasing and reflecting and being okay with sadness and grief and just not knowing. I think that's another thing. It's like there's so much about this album that we just don't know, and that's also an uncomfortable feeling. We like to know. That's like the Michigans, the Illinois. It's like there was so much like to research, study, so much to know, so much there. And this, it's like we feel it. We know what we're feeling. I think we're all kind of feeling like the same thing, but we don't actually know almost anything about this album. So it's all like speculating and, you know, coming to terms with our own feelings and our own emotions of what it brings up. And, you know, I know it's like if you're viewing the album in the lens like of Sufjan's recent events and maybe how that triggers like emotions about events that happen in your life, like that's totally fine also, like, because it's how it happened. It's when it was released. This was my thoughts on Javelin, my not review on Javelin, my first impressions, my working theories, everything. I hope you enjoyed. Maybe you guys noticed a little Easter egg here. Take care of yourselves. Go offline. Go outside. Open your windows. Open your blinds. Drink some water. Hug a friend. Tell a friend you love them. We don't tell our friends enough that we love them. Tell a friend you love them. Do something that makes you feel good. Do whatever you need to do to just release all of this feelings. Maybe you're fine. That's okay too. Like, I'm glad for you. But yeah, if you're not, just take care of yourself. And I will see you next time.